Welcome back, history enthusiasts, to a tumultuous story of love, power, and royal madness. Today, we embark on a riveting expedition into the life and marriages of one of history's most infamous figures, King Henry VIII. Our story begins on June 28, 1491, in the magnificent Palace of Greenwich, England. Born to King Henry VII and Elizabeth of York, Henry quickly proved himself to be a prodigious talent, earning numerous accolades and titles from a young age, including the prestigious Order of the Garter. His upbringing, surrounded by a nurturing and scholarly environment, laid the foundation for his future reign. The young prince excelled in various fields, including music, literature, and languages. It's safe to say that Henry was the shining star of the Tudor dynasty, with a bright future ahead. As Henry grew older, the weight of kingship fell upon his broad shoulders. His elder brother, Arthur, was originally destined for the throne, but fate intervened when Arthur tragically passed away from sweating sickness at 15. This unexpected turn of events thrust Henry into the role of heir apparent, forever altering the trajectory of his life. On April 21, 1509, the youthful Henry ascended the throne and continued living a leisurely life for a monarch, preferring to sleep in. In fact, he only really got up to hunt, hawk, dance, gamble, and play cards over his official duties, except for the hawking. He was much like the average uni student with whom he shared similar youthfulness. He was also a published author. Before separating from the Catholic Church, Henry VIII wrote a 30,000-word response to Martin Luther's Protestant 95 Theses, praising the church in Rome. "We can't keep up, don't pretend you can." Becoming King Henry VIII after his father passed away, his subjects did not know that they were about to witness one of the most dramatic and captivating reigns in English history. In 1509, at the tender age of 17, as King Henry VIII, marking the beginning of a reign that would be defined by his relationships and marriages, his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, was the daughter of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain. Their marriage took place on June the 11th, 1509, amidst great celebration and hope for a fruitful alliance between England and Spain. Catherine was a loyal and devoted wife. However, as years passed, Catherine failed to produce a male heir, which strained their relationship, and tension grew within the court. It was the annulment proceedings of his marriage to Catherine, filled with political maneuvering and legal disputes, that would forever change the religious landscape of England. The subsequent break from the Roman Catholic Church and the establishment of the Church of England marked a pivotal moment in Henry's reign. Top-level trolling there, considering that Catherine of Aragon was originally married to Henry's older brother Arthur. Henry and Catherine's union was seen as a way to maintain the alliance between England and Spain. The quest for a male heir consumed Henry, leading him down a path of uncertainty and turmoil. It was during this time that he met Anne Boleyn, a young and captivating lady-in-waiting. Anne's intelligence, charm, and undeniable allure captured Henry's heart. Their courtship was shrouded in secrecy and scandal and political intrigue, as Henry sought to divorce Catherine. Their secret romance has influenced Henry in a profound and far-reaching way, which eventually led to their marriage on January 25, 1533. Henry and Anne were married in a lavish ceremony, marking a significant turning point in English history. However, Anne's downfall was swift and devastating. Accused of adultery and treason, she was executed on May 19, 1536. Her final reported words were uncontroversial: "I am come hither to die, for according to the law, and by the law I am judged to die, and therefore I will speak nothing against it." Out of the darkness emerged Jane Seymour, a lady of grace and humility. Jane, a lady-in-waiting, became Henry's third wife. Their marriage took place on May 30th, 1536, just weeks after Anne Boleyn's execution at the Tower of London. Jane brought hope to Henry's quest for a male heir, and she delivered. Edward, the future King Edward VI, was born to Jane on October 12, 1537. Tragically, Jane Seymour died shortly after giving birth, leaving Henry grief-stricken and father to a young prince and the first English monarch to be raised as a Protestant. Henry VIII described him as his most noble and most precious jewel. Jane Seymour is perhaps the most virtuous, most unselfish woman I have ever known. That was taken from King Henry VIII in The Tudors, 2007 to 2010. Seeking an alliance with Protestant powers, Henry arranged a marriage to Anne of Cleves. However, upon meeting her, Henry found her appearance to be vastly different from the flattering portraits he had seen. Despite their marriage taking place on January 6, 1540, it quickly became apparent that their union was doomed. It is his shortest marriage, which lasted 6 months, a true inspiration for today's average celebrity. The annulment of Henry's marriage to Anne of Cleves, granted on July 9, 1540, marked a turning point in his reign as well. It led to the rise of a new woman who would captivate the king's heart. Anne of Cleves was also the only one of Henry's wives to outlive him. She lived a relatively peaceful life and even attended Henry's funeral. Wife number 5, Catherine Howard, had a very large Icarian marriage to Henry. She was a young and vivacious lady-in-waiting who caught the king's eye and became Henry's 5th wife. Their marriage, celebrated on July 28, 1540, was marked by controversy, as Catherine's past indiscretions came back to haunt her. Catherine met a tragic end on the executioner's block, leaving Henry heartbroken once again on February 13, 1542. The tragic fate of Catherine Howard showcased the dangers and political complexities of life at the Tudor court, if nothing else. Catherine Parr, a wise and capable woman, became Henry's final wife. Their marriage, solemnized on July 12, 1543, brought stability and companionship to the aging king. Catherine's intelligence and reformist beliefs greatly influenced Henry's thinking, as she was a well-educated woman who played a vital role in Henry's court. As well, she provided care and support, particularly during his declining health. Catherine outlived Henry and remarried after his death, enjoying a peaceful and fulfilling life. Catherine Parr's influence on Henry's religious policies and her role as a stepmother to Henry's children cannot be underestimated. The 3 legitimate offspring who survived infancy and would succeed him as monarchs of England successively, Edward VI, Mary I, and Elizabeth I, none of Henry's acknowledged children, legitimate or otherwise, had children of their own, leaving him with no direct descendants after the death of Elizabeth in 1603. There are many theories about whether Henry VIII had fertility difficulties. His last 3 wives, Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr, are not known to have conceived by him, although Parr conceived in her next marriage. Henry was obsessed with sickness and death, specifically the sweating sickness, this again, and the plague. By the age of 30, he had also already caught smallpox and malaria. Anytime there was an outbreak, he would minimize his risk of infection by leaving London and limiting the number of ambassadors he saw. Even when Anne Boleyn caught the sweating sickness in 1528, Henry stayed far away until she got better. Henry, a bad husband, a good infection minimizer, and a man known for having weight issues. Yes, some of the more well-known known facts about Henry are due to his enviable size. Despite being a tall, handsome, and athletic young king, yes, really, the older age was not kind to Henry VIII. When he died in 1547, he weighed nearly 400 pounds. Impressive, in a time before burger stacks bigger than your head existed. This was partly due to some pretty severe jousting accidents and ulcers on his legs, stopping him from engaging in his previous activities, and partly because why not? He was over 50 and had ruled a kingdom for around 30 years. Henry's marriages, fueled by a desire for a male heir and influenced by political considerations, shaped the course of England's history. What is extraordinary is that in the beginning of Henry's marriages, he was usually a very good husband. He was very tender to them. Research showed that he addressed some of his wives as sweetheart. He was a good lover. He was very generous. The wives were given huge settlements of lands and jewels. He was immensely considerate when they were pregnant. However, if his current wife did not please him or did anything to fire his short temper, there would be consequences. A famous rhyme for their fates: divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. His reign witnessed the rise of Protestantism, the dissolution of monasteries, increased the size of the Royal Navy by 10 times, and the centralization of power in the monarchy. He is also the only English monarch to have ruled Belgium. After capturing the significant town of Tournai in 1513, Henry eventually handed the territory to France in 1518. While Henry VIII is often remembered for his tumultuous personal life, his political and religious influences are not to be ignored. He also possessed a myriad of other quirks too. Henry VIII was an accomplished musician. He composed several songs and played various instruments, including the lute and the harpsichord. Multi-talented, not only could Henry speak Latin, French, ancient Greek, and Spanish, but also played the lute and organ, sang, played tennis, and jousted. Who knew that a life of luxury gave people so much time? The legacy of Henry VIII continues to fascinate and intrigue, reminding us that even the most powerful rulers are bound by the complexities of love, ambition, and the search for an heir. Until next time.